What is going on? Welcome to the Second of Strength podcast. I'm always grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that you choose to spend your valuable seconds with me. Look, as someone who believes that seconds are the most important moments of our lives and that through seconds we can control so much, I understand the value of those seconds. And so I'm grateful that you're here, grateful that you would spend that time with me. And hopefully today, this is going to help you. I got a note on social media. One thing I always tell teenagers, I go speak in schools. If you don't know that by now, or if you follow me on Instagram and you see that, or if you'd like me to come and speak at your school, just send me a message on Instagram at Real Tanner Clark, and we'll figure out how to get to your school. But I always tell schools, one thing I tell every student, it's in my presentation, right at the beginning of the presentation. One of the things I establish with students really early is that you are in control. You are in control of your life. You are in control of your emotions. Because I think that is a foundational principle that we just have to understand. And so wherever you're at, whether you're a teenager listening to this, whether you're a parent listening to this, whoever you are in control of your life. And the moment that we understand that, and we understand we can't always control the things that are happening to us. We can't control our circumstances. We can't control our genetics. There's so much that we cannot control, but there's so much that we can control. And despite the things that we can't control, despite those challenges, those things, those circumstances that we face, we can control every other aspect of our lives. And the sooner we understand that, the sooner we begin to grow, the sooner we begin to navigate this world in a way that we can turn lemons into lemonade every single time. And so I did a post on Instagram, and I talked about, this is geared at aimed towards teenagers, but you're in control of your emotions. And someone reached out and said, hey, can you do a post or share some tactics or things that we can do to gain control of our emotions? And I thought, yeah, I can absolutely do that. And I thought, you know what, this is probably a perfect thing to really talk on the podcast about, talk more in depth about, because I think it's critical that we learn that. And so, but before we even go there, before we can even talk about what are these tools, what are these tactics to gain control in any given moment and what that all means, I think there's a couple of foundational things that we need to understand. And I think the first is we have to understand our brains a little bit. And when we look at our brain, emotions come from, there's an emotional portion of our brain, the middle of our brain, the limbic system, and it ties into the fight or flight, it ties into survival, it ties into all these things, but we, especially teenagers, are emotional. Teenagers, the brain doesn't develop in the teenage head until around the age of 25 years old. And so I always joke with teenagers, like when your mom asks you to do something really simple, like she says, hey, take your socks upstairs on your way up, and you don't do it, and then your mom asks you again, and teenagers have this like emotional reaction, right? They have this meltdown, and it's because they're emotional creatures. Like teenagers think with their emotions. And then what happens always is mom is upset because teenager didn't do the simple task that is so simple, and how can you not do it? And so the teenager then reacts and has this emotional breakdown. And then the mom has this other emotional breakdown, and now she's mad because she's now thinking emotionally. And we just have this escalation effect of emotional thinking. It happens all the time in every house in the world, including this house that I'm in. It happens all the time. And when we look at teenagers and we start to go think about them and go, hey, well, they actually think with their emotions. They aren't thinking with the logical part of their brain. If you look at your brain, it's this front part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex. That's where logic, rationale, logical thinking comes from. Decision making, sound decision making. That's where it comes from. So if you think about it, what we're talking about, when I talk about your 1 second of strength, it's the ability to tap into the logical part of your brain in any given moment to overtake the emotional part of your brain. Very simple. You're driving down the road. You see someone cut someone else off, right? Which is dangerous. And so the person who was impacted, the person who was cut off, instead of just like taking their foot off the gas and like backing up, they have this emotional response and they start with road rage, right? And they go down the road and they have allowed the emotional part of their brain to take control of what they're doing. Instead of just logically thinking for 1 minute, like, hey, maybe I shouldn't be driving this 2,000-pound vehicle as fast as I am and as erratically as I am. And it's just this thought process. And so the emotional brain can impact us in any given moment. We have to basically understand that we can be in control of the logical, rational part of our brain to overcome those emotions in any given moment. If you are an athlete, right? One emotion that you may have is that you may be tired. You may be fatigued, right? If you're a basketball player and you are going up and down the court, right? And you get dunked on, or, someone shoots a three over you and you have this emotional like sadness in the moment, like, oh, dang it, what am I going to do? Well, you have the power in 1 second to choose the logical, rational part of your brain and choose to get back up, run down the court as fast as you can, play harder defense, like tap into that instead of letting the emotions of a momentary defeat overtake you. And so that's what we're talking about here. And so, one, understand your brain, that you have the power to tap into your logical brain. Even if it's not fully developed, as a teenager's isn't, you do have the power to utilize it. But it takes understanding when you are in emotion land, when you are feeling these emotions, so that you can then tap into the logical part of your brain. So that's the first thing. The second thing that we have to do is we have to understand when we are emotional, when we are, for this purpose, when we are out of control, when our emotions are out of control. And so if you listen to my TED Talk, and if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. It's on YouTube. Just Google TEDx Tanner Clark, and you'll find the 1 second of strength TED Talk. Would love you to listen to it, share it. It was fun to give. But in the TED Talk, I talk about something called the SOS Approach. And the SOS Approach, SOS, stemming from second of strength, but the SOS Approach really comes down to three simple steps. And they're three simple steps and the tools that I would give you to recognize and take control of your life. And so the first one is S, set your intentions. And it really comes down to, and this doesn't have to be big goals, big intentions. This is like the minute by minute intentions, right? Like this could be like, I want to be more positive. I want to be happier. I want to feel less stress. Like, what is the intention? What matters most is the way I phrase it in the TED Talk, but like, what matters most to you? I want to be a better parent. I want to be a better student. I want to be a better athlete. The person who wrote this comment on Instagram, I think he coaches the U.S. ski team. I want to be a better skier. I want to be a better teammate, whatever that is. But when it comes to emotions, it's what is the mindset that you want to have? What is that mindset? And that is what we want to set our intentions about. So S, set your intentions. When we talk about recognizing what the challenge is that we're facing, it's or recognizing when our emotions are out of control. This is where the O of the SOS approach really comes into play. This is observe your behavior. We have to be willing and able and rational enough and cognitive enough, based off the intention that we just said. I want to be happier. I want to have let's call it a positive mindset. If that's your intention, I want to have a positive mindset or be a positive person, right? If you find yourself thinking negative thoughts, or if you find yourself unhappy and just being pessimistic or negative on your situation, whatever that is, we have to observe our behavior. 1, we want to be positive. 2, recognize when we are not being that thing, when we are not doing the intention that we set, when we are not being positive in this situation. And so when we recognize that, when you observe your behavior, that's when you have the power to then switch over to that logical part of your brain and take control. So the third part of the SOS approach is shift. This is when we get to shift our mindset. We get to find our 1 second of strength and shift, right? So very simple example. You want to be more positive. You're going along good, and then all of a sudden you start having negative thoughts, right? You observe your behavior, recognize, oh my goodness, I have negative thoughts. Well, what is the shift that you need to make in that moment to then get back into the positive world, right? And so in this instance, it's very simple. You want to be positive, you find yourself being negative. Let's be grateful. Let's think about gratitude. And that is the 1 second shift that you can make that can bring you back into positive land. Okay. So another example, say you want to be happy. Like you're tired of being unhappy. And it's like, hey, this 2024, if you're listening to this right now, like I want to be happy. That's my goal for the year. I want to be happier. Okay. And so maybe you've set that intention, and then all of a sudden you find that you're really unhappy. Like just you know that I'm guessing you know that I know that feeling. Like you're just all of a sudden like unhappy. And so we need to observe our behavior and recognize that we're unhappy, and then identify the why. Like, why am I so unhappy right now? And it could be comparison. Maybe you found that you're comparing yourself to other people, or you've been spending too much time on Instagram or TikTok or any other social media platform, and you've recognized that, oh my goodness, I'm comparing my life to these other people. I don't have the new car. I'm not on vacation like my friend is, and it's making me unhappy. Okay, well, now you've diagnosed what that is. You've observed your behavior. What is the shift that you can make in 1 second of strength? What shift can you make right now? Well, it could be less phone time. It could be blocking someone or unfollowing someone. Whatever it is to break away from that comparison mode that you're in. Another example. Let's say that your goal, that your intention that you set, your goal for the year, the SOS intention that you've set, is you want to be more productive. And then the emotion that you start feeling is you start feeling really overwhelmed all of a sudden, right? And so for me, when that happens, it's because I've got so many things going on, so many things. So I'm observing my behavior and recognizing that I've got 50 different priorities from other people, plus my own priorities flying at me 1,000 miles an hour. And I've been in this situation so many times where so much is coming at you that you can't process it in any given way, that instead of processing it, you just kind of like shut down. You just stop. A lot of times you'll escape. Your survival mechanism kicks in and you go, okay, I'm going to go scroll Instagram for a little bit because I need to escape what's going on in this real world, right? And so you want to be productive. You're feeling overwhelmed. Lots is coming at you at one time. What is the shift in 1 second of strength that you can make in that moment? And for me, there's a couple things that I can do. One, to be in control, I can stand up, I can walk away for a few minutes, I can sit down and write down a list of priorities, I can go outside for a few minutes, I can just stand up and take a deep breath. There's a lot of things that I can control in that moment that can kind of bring me back out of the land of like everybody's pushing things on me. Take a deep breath. And then what is the one thing, the shift that I want to make in that moment is, what is the one thing that I need to be working on? Block out the rest of it and just focus on that one thing. And if you can do that, you bring yourself back into control instead of letting all of the other things that are around you control you. So there's always a way, but the simple method that I would recommend to anybody is follow the SOS approach. Set your intentions, whatever it is. It could be a goal for the year. You want to lose weight. Okay. Observe your behavior as you go. Did I go? It's 1 week into the new year. Did I go to the gym today? Okay. No. Okay. Well, then what's the shift I need to make? I need to get up right now and go work out, or I need to set a plan in place to do it. Right. So set your priorities, set your intentions. What is what you want to accomplish? You want to be happier. You want to be a better athlete. You want to have a positive mindset. You want to have less stress. You want to be productive. What is the intention that you want to set for yourself? And then have a check-in. Set time on your calendar where you can check in and observe your behavior. And if it's a goal that you want to accomplish, like going to the gym and working out, being in shape or whatever, then maybe that's a weekly check-in. If it is a mindset that you're working for, or you want to be happier, well, then maybe we need to do that throughout the day. We need to set up triggers and just start to recognize when we aren't being happy, when we aren't having that positive mindset. And in that moment, find your 1 second of strength and shift. always find your 1 second of strength and shift, because I tell you, and it feels so trivial to me sometimes. And like, whenever, I don't even remember when I came up with the 1 second of strength. I cannot remember, but I just remember that in any given moment, I am in control of my life, and it just takes recognition and shifting. And every time you do that, you put yourself back in control of your life. And I know it sounds trivial and I know it sounds simple, but just truly, by thinking 1 second of strength and shifting when you are in that moment or feeling out of control, it will change everything in your life. And there's nothing I can say other than just try it. Just if something's going on, if an emotion's happening. I've talked about the driver driving down the road and road rage. Like, if you feel that, like your blood level rising in that moment, just simply think it, 1 second of strength, and it will pull you back down off that ledge that you're about to jump, right? Like, just think 1 second of strength, bring yourself back in control of your life, and you will be able to always find your way back. And it doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean it's simple. There's always a challenge. It can always be difficult. Life can be hard. Life can be really hard. And I think for some people right now, it's extremely hard. It doesn't mean you're not in control. Yeah, there's circumstances, but you can always be in control of what comes next if you choose to be, if you find your 1 second of strength to do it. So anyway, I hope this helps. Look, I'm super proud of where you're at right now. I'm super proud of if you're listening to this podcast, it's because you believe in growth and you believe in yourself a little bit, or you think you're important enough to do that. And I'm always grateful, like I said, that you'll use your seconds with me to listen to this for a little bit, but just know how proud I am of you and where you're going and the path that you're on. And I truly believe that you are in control of what comes next, even though it might be hard to get there. But every day you have the power to change that just by simply setting your intentions, observing your behavior, and then shifting with your 1 second of strength. And I promise when you do that, things are going to work out for you in the long run. So I'll leave you the way I always leave you. Thank you again for being here, for listening. Please share this if it helps you. The only way I can help more people is with you. I can't do it any other way. I'm grateful for everyone who shares the things that I share on Instagram. I'm grateful if you share this podcast. But the more people we reach, the better this world and the better we're all going to be. So thank you for doing that. And I'll leave you the way I always leave you. Go find your 1 second of strength and be happy.